never thought betrayal could have a sound. Until I heard my wife whisper another man's name in her sleep. At first, I lay there frozen, the word echoing in the dark like a bullet ricocheting off the walls. My heart hammered, my throat went dry, and I told myself I must have misheard. People dream about strange things all the time. Dreams don't mean anything. That was the first lie I told myself, and it was the one that opened the door for everything that followed. For weeks, I tried to push it aside. We were happy, or at least I thought we were. Emma laughed with me over late-night takeout, kissed me goodbye in the mornings, and squeezed my hand under the dinner table when my mother asked too many questions about grandchildren. But shadows began to stretch across those small moments. A text message she tilted her phone away to read. A shift in her voice when she said she was working late. The smell of a cologne that wasn't mine clinging faintly to her coat. I wanted to trust her. God, I wanted to. But trust is fragile. And once it cracks, you start seeing patterns in everything. The breaking point came on a Sunday afternoon. We were at my mother's house for dinner, the same house where my sister once stole the man I thought I would marry. I'd buried that old wound, or at least I thought I had, but it throbbed faintly every time I saw Emma glance at her phone under the tablecloth. When my mother stepped into the kitchen, Emma excused herself too, claiming she was helping with dessert. I followed her, quiet as a shadow. Her voice carried through the narrow hallway as she spoke softly into her phone. I can't stay long. He's starting to notice. Yes. I miss you too. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. I pressed my hand against the wall, trying to breathe, trying not to collapse. She turned then, and her eyes widened when she saw me standing there. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Only the ticking of the kitchen clock filled the silence. Who was that? I finally asked. My voice didn't sound like mine. She hesitated, then forced a smile that never touched her eyes. Just work. You're overthinking again. Again. The word stung. As if this was my flaw, my paranoia, my weakness. I wanted to believe her, to swallow the lie and carry on. But her hand trembled as she reached for the serving tray, and I knew. I knew in the way you know a storm is coming before the first drop falls. That night, I waited until she fell asleep. Her phone lay charging on the nightstand. My hand shook as I reached for it. My reflection in the dark screen pale and broken. I told myself I wouldn't look, that it would ruin everything. But betrayal doesn't need permission, it demands to be seen. The messages were there. Dozens of them. Some short and hurried, others long and intimate. Words she used to say to me now given to someone else. And then the photo. Her smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months, wrapped in another man's arms. I dropped the phone like it had burned me. My chest ached as if a hand had reached inside and squeezed my heart until it bled. I lay awake until dawn, staring at the ceiling, wondering how many moments of our marriage had been a performance. Wondering how much of the life we built was already ashes. The next morning, I confronted her. I know, I said simply. She froze, the color draining from her face. Know what? Don't make me say it. My voice cracked. Don't make me drag the truth out of you. For a moment, she looked at me like a cornered animal, terrified, desperate, searching for escape. Then something inside her seemed to break. She sat down on the edge of the bed and buried her face in her hands. I never meant for it to happen, she whispered. Her words sliced deeper than silence ever could. Then why? I demanded. My anger finally rose hot and wild. Why destroy us? Why betray me? She lifted her head, eyes rimmed with red. Because I felt invisible. Because you were always working, always chasing something else. He made me feel seen again. I wanted to scream that I'd been working for us, for our future, for the life we dreamed of. I wanted to shake her until she remembered every promise we'd made. But the words died in my throat. Because beneath the fury, beneath the heartbreak, was the most unbearable truth of all. Part of me still loved her. Love doesn't vanish in an instant. It lingers, even when it's poisoned. The days that followed were a blur of silence and half-arguments. She begged me to forgive her. To believe she could end it, that we could start fresh. I wanted to believe her, but every time I looked at her face I saw him. Every time she touched me, I felt the ghost of his hands. And yet I hesitated. Leaving her felt like tearing out my own lungs. Staying felt like suffocating. One night, I found myself standing in the doorway of our bedroom, watching her sleep. The same woman who had once been my everything, now a stranger lying inches away. I thought of the vows we made, of the life we promised each other. I thought of my sister's betrayal years ago, how I had sworn I'd never let myself be broken like that again. And here I was broken all over. The twist came when I finally confronted the man himself. I arranged to meet him, an act that felt both reckless and inevitable. He arrived at the cafe calm, confident, like he wasn't sitting across from the man whose marriage he had shattered. "You don't know her like I do," he said, sipping his coffee as if we were discussing the weather. "She was never yours completely." The words cut deeper than any knife. And in that moment, I understood something chilling. He didn't love her either. To him, she was conquest, not commitment. Desire, not devotion. I walked away without touching my coffee, without saying another word. Because what could I say? The war was already lost. When I returned home, Emma was waiting, her eyes pleading, her voice trembling with promises. But I had nothing left to give. "I can't do this anymore," I told her. "I can't live in a house built on lies." Her sobs followed me down the hallway as I gathered my things. The sound tore at me, but I didn't look back. Sometimes survival means choosing the wound over the poison. It's been months now, and the silence in my apartment is heavy but clean. I think about her sometimes, about us, about the man I used to be before betrayal carved me hollow. And I realize something I should have known all along. Betrayal doesn't just end a marriage. It ends the version of yourself that believed love was unbreakable. The man I was died in that bed the night I unlocked her phone. And the man who walked away? He's still learning how to live again.